Welcome to the Resident Evil The Complete Story series. The question we asked last time, what was the stupidest monster in the Resident Evil series? The question this time is a rather complex one. We all know that the movies don't follow the main plot, and the movies follow an alternate world where Umbrella won and wasn't stopped like they were in the games. So do you think that plotline is better, or do you enjoy this one where eventually we'll win? Alright, time to disclaim while you watch your responses to what you thought the stupidest monster was. All information gathered here is from our first-hand experiences in the games and the Resident Evil wikis. We also confirm a lot of the timeline with the Umbrella Project, a great website that sorts out all the notes the games come out with. We'll also be following the main overall plot and the main characters. This means we may skip over a minor character as it will add more to an already long video series. Alright, I hope you enjoy, so let's get into this. When we last left off, Ark Thompson was in his own hell in Sheena Island, and Chris was looking for evidence in some European country. The events that follow are contained in the Resident Evil Survivor game. The situation on Sheena Island continues to get worse, and Ark Thompson ends up fighting with multiple zombies and a new version of the Tyrant called Hypnos T-Type Tyrant. Meanwhile, Claire Redfield infiltrates a Paris laboratory during her investigation into Chris's whereabouts. As stealthy as she thought she was, eventually she is discovered and pursued through the facility. In the end, she is captured. Leon Kennedy finally finds Chris Redfield thanks to all the connections he's made following Resident Evil 2. He immediately tries to contact Claire and inform her of his location, only to find that she's been captured and is being held by Umbrella. During this whole time, Ark Thompson manages to flee from Sheena Island just as the entire island explodes. Bet you didn't think Umbrella would rig a whole island to explode. Well, they did. Evidence wiped. The game Resident Evil Code Veronica begins here, with Claire being brought to a prison on Rockfort Island. Just as Claire lands on the island is assaulted by an opposing force within Umbrella, led by none other than Albert Wesker. As a result of their assault, the T-Virus breaks out on the island, resulting in a massive spread of the zombie T-Virus. They should really keep these world-ending viruses locked up under like 50 feet of steel or something. Claire finds herself locked away and forgotten during these events, until finally a kind security guard releases her and the other inmate, Steve Burnside. Both Claire and Steve try to escape the island, while Albert Wesker is trying to get the T. Veronica virus from the Ashfords. During all of this, they are both dealing with the island's commander, Alfred Ashford. It's been a while, so let me remind you. Albert and Alexia Ashford are the twin children of Alexander Ashford. They are genetically enhanced to be the smartest children ever, with the intention of being able to resolve any problems that Umbrella is having with the virus. Once they find out about their true purpose, they kidnapped their father and tested their virus on him, turning him into a monster known as Nosferatu. Alexia then injected herself with the virus and froze herself to allow the virus to mix with her genes. Here's a new fact that we haven't gone over yet though. In the last 15 years that Alexia has been frozen, Alfred Ashford has gone insane. He's developed a bit of a split personality, thinking himself to be both Alexia and himself. He cross-dresses and changes his voice to allow himself to talk to himself. He even argues with himself about what the best method of taking care of everyone on the facility is. Back to our latest horrific outbreak. Claire and Steve managed to escape the prison island thanks to a plane set up by Alfred Ashford. He set up the plane to autopilot to the Antarctic facility. The very same facility that Alexander Ashford is kept in the basement of and Alexia Ashford is frozen in. Alfred Ashford quickly chases them, worried that they'll find out about all of his family's secrets. This is where Claire, Steve, and Alfred all have their final fight, which ends with Alfred falling into a chasm. As he falls, he lets out a blood-curdling scream that ultimately wakes his father. The monster that was their father chases after Claire and Steve as they try their best to stay one step ahead of it, until he ultimately is defeated by them. Alfred isn't dead yet though. He limps and bleeds and forces his broken body to get to his sister, where he frees the mutated and sleeping Alexia. He falls to the ground just in time for Alexia to wake up and catch him, and it is there that he dies in her arms. Enraged by the sight of her now dead brother, Alexia summons giant tentacles to come forth and recapture Claire and Steve. Leon Kennedy becomes worried that he couldn't reach Claire anymore and used his new information of Chris's whereabouts to inform Chris that Claire has been looking for him and has gone missing ever since Umbrella caught her in Paris. Chris quickly travels to the Rockford prison, only to discover that Claire has already left. Before he can leave to follow her though, he runs into Wesker and is shocked to learn that Wesker is stronger and faster than anybody ever should be. Just as Wesker is about to kill off Chris, Alexia pops up on a local computer screen, taunting Wesker. In a rage, Wesker leaves Chris alive and heads off for the Antarctic facility to get his Code Veronica virus. Chris recovers from his encounter with Wesker and decides to follow behind everybody for an epic clash of the Resident Evil Titans in Antarctica. A bit of time passes as Chris searches the facility, but he eventually finds Claire, and she sets off to find Steve while Chris goes to end things with Wesker. But poor Steve. He became Alexia's first hobby upon her revival. Claire finds him mutating into a reptilian monster thanks to Alexia's testing. Claire frees her former friend and runs straight into the mutated Alexia, who attacks them with tentacles. All hope seems lost for our heroes until Steve manages to regain some of his willpower and attempts to fight Alexia. He is defeated by her though. Just before his death, he mutates back into Steve, professing his love for Claire as he dies in her arms. Chris ends up finding Wesker and the two of them end up teaming up to try and defeat Alexia, but she is far too powerful for even Wesker, and he leaves Chris to fight her alone. A few fights pass by with Alexia mutating further and further, until finally she is ultimately defeated by Chris using a plasma-based weapon. With Alexia dead and a self-destruct sequence activated, of course, Chris begins to flee and runs into Wesker, who is transporting Steve's body out of the facility. But Wesker also has Claire, and of course, this leads to a final fight with Chris. Chris tells Claire to flee for the waiting escape plane, and Wesker and Chris have their final confrontation. It looks as though Wesker is going to win and finally kill Chris when an explosion happens, separating the two of them. Chris flees to meet with Claire on the plane, and Wesker vows that their next meeting will be their last as he will finally have his revenge. Explosions happen all over, almost as if this was a Michael Bay movie. And with that, Chris and Claire flee the area, with Chris vowing to finally take down Umbrella. With everything happening, the US government issues a world-scale suspension of all of Umbrella's business. This causes Umbrella's stock to plummet, and many lawsuits are filed against Umbrella. An investigation of the destruction of Raccoon City against Umbrella also begins. People from all over the place are coming out to blame Umbrella, but due to them also picking up their messes with explosions, there doesn't seem to be any evidence directly linking Umbrella to anything. It takes all kinds of various survivors coming forward with evidence against Umbrella to finally begin to stack up. Oswald Spencer begins to hire his own team of lawyers, whose sole purpose is to flip the blame back on the US government and give the appearance that there is a conspiracy against Umbrella. Due to all of this, the lawsuits are dragged out for 4 years, allowing Umbrella to remain one of the largest corporations in the world. To continue finding evidence, the Anti-Umbrella Pursuit and Investigation Team is established. Despite everything that is going on, Umbrella's many factions continue their research and hiding their newest bioweapons. With everything being hidden and still being developed, I guess they're gonna keep going with this plot. The next time we'll be entering more in-between game information and entering into Resident Evil 4, where Leon takes a more active role once again. I hope you guys enjoyed this little synopsis of Resident Evil Code Veronica and the rest of the Resident Evil series. Don't forget to check out all the old episodes so you can stay up to date, and we'll get you the latest episode as soon as we can. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and subscribe to the channel for the latest information. And if you're really one of our monsters, then why don't you check out one of our other stories like Kingdom Hearts or Bioshock, or check out our newest series, Lore Meets Reality, or go to one of our old school improv comedies. They'll be coming back real soon. Lastly, don't forget to go to our Let's Play channel where we sit around and talk around with our mics and chat about playing games. It's almost as like you're there with us, but you know, you're not.